in history classes, we as cadets learned that America failed strategically in the Vietnam War. This is an idea that the American public has not readily accepted yet. We don't really want to think of America as the loser. We can see this when people say America is the greatest nation on earth, or when people walk around with shirts saying back-to-back World War champions. But we have to put that pride aside and then face the failure up front. Despite superior conventional warfare technology, the United States failed against Vietnam in fighting an asymmetrical warfare, or asymmetrical battle, which some of you may also know as guerrilla warfare or even insurgency warfare. Tobias Wolff, in his memoir *In Pharaoh's Army*, seeks to explain how the American effort in Vietnam was purposeless and misdirected, and he seeks to explain this through his personal experiences with aspects of guerrilla warfare. I use David Kilcullen's *The Accidental Guerrilla* to parallel his experiences with actual definitions of aspects of guerrilla warfare. Hopefully, these understanding the warfighting technique that guerrilla warfare uses will help the reader better understand why Wolff feels this way about the war and why he depicts it as such in his memoir. One common characteristic of guerrilla warfare is protracted warfare. Kilcullen states in his book that the main part of this is time. The guerrilla soldiers use time as a resource to drain their enemy of resources and public support, as they cannot readily overpower their opponents by themselves. We see an example of this in Wolff's memoir when he tells us of the Special Forces instructor and how he shows blatant disappointment when he says he is being sent to Vietnam for his third tour. It is sad that he's being sent for his third time to Vietnam, but what we really should focus on is that he shows blatant disappointment in the face of his superiors and his subordinates. This shows that he does not have the drive, even though he's serving his country, to fight again in the same war to serve his country. So another main characteristic of guerrilla warfare is that the population, gaining the support of the people who live there. This is the main point of Kilcullen's book, *The Accidental Guerrilla*, and also of another insurgency expert, Galula, is that the population is the center of everything. Whoever holds the support of the population holds the key to success. And essentially it comes down to who can provide the most security for the native population. And we see that the Viet Cong knew this strategy and used it against the Americans when we see Wolff's explanation of how the Tet Offensive went. He says, they, the Viet Cong, knew that once they were among the people, we would abandon our pretense of distinguishing between them. We would kill them all to get at one. In this way, they taught the people that we did not love them and would not protect them, that for all of our talk of partnership and brotherhood, we disliked and mistrusted them, and that we would kill every last one of them to save our own skins. Here we see that they have lost the respect of the native population, especially in an earlier account where Wolff says that the South Vietnamese were selling American weapons to the North Vietnamese. So we see why they lost their respect, and now, as a result, we are losing their support and our own weapons. So these two previous problems of prolonged warfare and the trust of the native population both stem off of the United States' reliance on conventional warfare. Kilcullen is an expert on counterinsurgency, and he says to fight this type of warfare, we need to use military force extremely sparingly, and we need to take an indirect approach. But this doesn't really sound like American warfare at all, especially during the time of the Vietnam War. And we can see this kind of attitude in one of Wolff's characters, Captain Cale, as he takes on his job headstrong when he comes to Vietnam. It's either his way or the highway, and it is already too late when he finds that he has destroyed the lives of Vietnamese refugees in their village. And as Wolff recounts how he tries to make amends, but it is already too late. And he says, Captain Kale went from woman to woman, begging them to examine the picture, holding it out as if it proved something important. His voice cracked. It sounded close to tears, but they were deaf and blind. They wouldn't look, they wouldn't listen, and they couldn't have understood him anyway. He was speaking English. So here we see how his headstrong ability parallels the American use of conventional warfare as their only resource in the Vietnam War. So through his experiences, Wolf explains that America approached the Vietnam War wrong. The United States was not ready for a prolonged war. They lacked communication with the South Vietnamese, who were supposed to be their allies, and they relied too much on their strength of conventional warfare. They could not adapt. By aligning his experiences with actual studies of guerrilla warfare, we can better understand the true impact that it had on the American soldiers and public